Imagine if I told you that the most dangerous yet most entertaining place the medieval era wasn't a king's castle or a battlefield. It was an ordinary bustling marketplace. Here, a nobleman could lose his life for stepping on a fish merchant's foot. Here, a nun could fall in love with a street jester. And here, the darkest secrets of kingdoms were sold like hot bread. Welcome to the world of medieval markets, where every day was a performance of life and death. One theater of life amidst the chaos, Canterbury Market in 13th century England wasn't just a shopping destination. This was the world's greatest theater stage. Every morning, when the cathedral bells chimed, thousands of people from all social classes crowded through the city gates. Merchants shouted their wares with ear-splitting voices. Fresh fish from the North Sea. Still twitching silk from Constantinople. Smooth as a baby's skin. Wine from Bordeaux can make angels sing. But behind their shouts lay deeper drama. Documents from Canterbury Cathedral archives record that in a single market day, there were an average of 15 fights, 8 thefts, 3 frauds, and at least 1 murder. However, surprisingly, the same records also noted 12 spontaneous weddings, 25 family reconciliations, and dozens of business agreements that changed lives. The market wasn't just an economic place, this was the world's most complex social laboratory. Here, rigid social class rules began to soften. A peasant could negotiate with a nobleman, a woman could run her own business. And most surprisingly, a slave could buy his freedom with coins collected over years. 2. The secret code of merchants. What most people don't know is that medieval merchants had their own secret language. A complex communication system using hand gestures, merchandise positioning, even the way they tied their shoelaces. Documents from the Venice Merchant Guild of the 14th century reveal codes used to mark dangerous buyers, smuggled goods, and even royal spies. If a merchant placed a red apple in the left corner of his stall, it meant tax raids were imminent. If another merchant tied his shoelaces twice, it meant smuggled goods were available at low prices. And if a female merchant wore a blue scarf on her head, it meant there was hot gossip about the royal family that could be sold to interested parties. This system was so sophisticated that merchants could communicate about forbidden matters right under the noses of city guards without detection. But this code also created its own hierarchy within the market. Senior merchants who mastered all codes held power almost like petty kings. They could destroy competitors' businesses just by spreading false codes. Or conversely, they could make new merchants rich overnight. Life in the market wasn't just about buying and selling. This was about information warfare that determined who lived and who died. 3. Love and intrigue behind the stalls. Medieval markets were the most romantic yet most dangerous places to fall in love. The Paris Chronicle of the 12th century records the story of Guillaume de Loris, a nobleman's son who disguised himself as a bread merchant just to approach Agnes, a goldsmith's daughter. Every day for 6 months, Guillaume pretended to sell bread at a stall next to Agnes's father's shop. He willingly woke before dawn, kneaded dough until his hands were raw, and endured mockery from other merchants who suspected his accent was too refined. But love in the market was never simple. Agnes was already betrothed to Pierre, the richest cloth merchant in town. And Pierre had spies everywhere reporting all market movements. When Pierre discovered Guillaume's disguise, he wasn't angry. He was actually interested in the ongoing drama. Pierre began playing a sadistic psychological game. He hired street jesters to mock Guillaume daily. He spread rumors that Guillaume's bread was made with rotten flour. He even hired thugs to accidentally trample Guillaume's stall every morning. But Guillaume didn't give up. He began learning martial arts from a former crusader selling used swords. He studied how to read human character from an old gypsy who told fortunes. And most importantly, he began understanding that to win Agnes's heart, he had to defeat Pierre at his own game. 4. Hidden rituals and strange traditions. Behind the hustle and bustle of trade, medieval markets held rituals and traditions that would amaze you. Every market had an upside-down day that occurred once a year. On this day, all social rules were reversed. Nobles had to serve merchants. Women were allowed to lead religious ceremonies. Even slaves could become temporary judges to settle trade disputes. Documents from St. Denis Abbey in France record that on Upside-Down Day in 1247, a slave named Thomas successfully punished his own master for cheating on scales. The punishment, the master had to be Thomas's slave for 24 hours. But the strangest ritual was the market marriage. This wasn't a real wedding, but a symbolic ceremony where the market itself married the town. Every 5 years, citizens chose a market king and market queen from among the merchants. This pair then underwent a mock wedding ceremony in the middle of the market, complete with festivities lasting 3 days and nights. During this period, they had the power to change trading rules, grant amnesty to petty criminals, even elevate commoners to temporary nobility. Even more amazing, these marriages often produced political and economic alliances that lasted decades. Many merchants planned business strategies based on who would become the next king and queen. Even kingdoms often sent spies to monitor these ceremonies. As the temporary power of the market king could influence trade policies throughout the realm. 5. Street slang and social codes. Medieval markets had extremely complex and unique slang. Each profession had secret terms incomprehensible to outsiders. Meat merchants called wealthy customers fat sheep, cloth sellers called beautiful women gold and silk, but most interesting was the secret language of thieves and con artists. London court documents from the 13th century reveal a complete dictionary of market criminal language. Dancing with wolves meant stealing from busy merchants. Kissing the moon meant sneaking around at night. Playing with fire meant deceiving inexperienced buyers. Con artists even had special hand signals for communication. Scratching the nose with the index finger meant a target was selected. Touching the left ear meant danger from guards. Patting the right shoulder meant action commenced. But this language wasn't only used by criminals. Honest merchants also developed their own codes for protection. They created a warning system that allowed the entire market to know within minutes if there was a threat. This system was so effective that criminals were often caught before they could escape. Surprisingly, many of these terms are still used in modern everyday language without our awareness. 6. Thrilling entertainment. Markets weren't just trading places, but also the most spectacular entertainment centers in medieval times. Every day, dozens of entertainers wandered among the stalls. There were jesters who could eat fire. There were acrobats who walked on ropes as high as church towers. There were musicians who could make people cry with just harp strings. But the most popular entertainment was street theater. Traveling actors performed dramas taken from real life in the market itself. They turned scandals, romances, and intrigues happening in the market into entertaining performances. Chronicles from Strasbourg record that in 1298, a street theater group performed a true story about a nobleman who disguised himself as a merchant to escape an arranged marriage. The performance was so realistic that the actual nobleman watching almost got caught by guards who recognized him. Even more interesting, audiences often participated in performances. They could change storylines by shouting suggestions or even climbing on stage to act. This created a form of interactive entertainment unmatched anywhere. But the most dangerous entertainment was were duels. These were competitions where two people exchanged insults and mockery in front of crowds. Whoever could silence their opponent or make the audience laugh hardest won. The problem was, these duels often turned into real fights ending in bloodshed. 7. Exotic foods and drinks. The food menu in medieval markets would shock you. Merchants didn't just sell ordinary food, but also exotic dishes imported from the ends of the earth. There was snake meat from North Africa believed to cure blindness. There were ostrich eggs from Egypt sold for the price of a cow. There was honey from India supposedly capable of keeping people young. But most controversial were forbidden foods. Documents from papal archives revealed that many markets secretly sold foods banned by the church. Wild boar meat hunted on Sundays, fish caught during fasting periods. There were even merchants selling wine blessed for Mass. Buyers of these forbidden foods had to use special codes. They couldn't ask directly but had to use passwords. Is there bread for hungry souls? Meant they sought forbidden meat. Can I drink the water of life? Meant they sought wine stolen from churches. What made everything more complex was that many priests and nuns were also secret buyers. Those who should enforce prohibitions actually became loyal customers. This created a complex corruption system where bribe money flowed from markets to monasteries, from monasteries to palaces, and from palaces back to markets. Food wasn't just about nutrition in medieval markets. This was a political weapon, a tool of rebellion, and a status symbol determining one's position in society. 8. Shocking twist, the secret that changed history. But here's what's never been told in any history book. The great markets of medieval times weren't phenomena that occurred naturally. All this was the result of a conspiracy carefully planned by a group of international merchants who called themselves Ordo Mercator. Secret documents found in the basement of Notre Dame Cathedral in 1978 reveal shocking truths. Ordo Mercator was formed in 1130 by 12 of the wealthiest merchants from various European countries. They realized that by creating great markets, they could control the flow of information, politics, and even religion across the entire continent. Every seemingly spontaneous market was actually carefully designed. Location, timing, even the types of merchants allowed entry, all calculated to achieve specific goals. Members of this order spread throughout Europe, disguised as ordinary merchants. But actually they were spies, diplomats, and even hired assassins. They used markets as secret meeting places, message delivery points, and recruitment centers for new agents. Most shocking, many major events in medieval history actually began from plans devised in these markets. The Third Crusade started from a secret meeting at Rheims Market. The formation of the first universities, funded by profits from secret trading in order markets. Even the Black Death Plague was allegedly deliberately spread through trade routes they controlled to reduce population and increase labor value. Medieval markets weren't just trading places. This was civilization's control center determining the fate of millions without their knowledge. And most frightening, this organization might still exist today, evolved with the times, controlling the world economy from behind the scenes. So next time you shop at a modern market, remember that you might be participating in a game that's been running for nearly 1,000 years.